Summer is fast approaching, and I think it's time we took a little bit of stress out of our lives, isn't it? With HelloFresh UK, you can get all the ingredients and inspiration you need to make your meal times and your cooking experience simpler than ever. HelloFresh provides a number of recipes and meals to make your life as easy as possible and also caters to a wide range of different dietary requirements. Use my special discount to get 50% off your first order plus 35% off the next three and three free gifts as well. What more could you ask for? Check out the discount link or the checkout code down in the description below. Well, this is the big moment at the start of what I hope will be a very memorable summer for the right reasons. We have named our squad for Euro 2036. We're going to have a look through it, see why we've picked people we have, who might miss out from our provisional squad, which players have already missed out, and what the media think of what we've done. Because in truth, we almost weren't here. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 105 of The Head Coach with me, Daniel. We are back today to run through our squad for Euro 2036 and see what the media think of the 30-man provisional squad I've picked for this summer's tournament. It is held in Germany again, which I find a bit strange, so close together, but you guys are more than welcome to give me your thoughts as well. I'm looking forward to see what you think of my decisions down in the comments. I don't think there's too much controversy, but there's a lot of the usual English stuff. Loads of players who are on the brink of being injured and missing out. Loads of players who maybe are a little bit of a wild card. A few players who are uncapped in our 30-man squad. And a few experienced players that we've had to leave out. So if you're looking forward to this one, a very different style episode to what I've done before, then please do put a thumbs up on it. I'm sure we're going to have a very busy summer, and I want to take a moment to laugh at something else. But first, let me show you the championship group we've got. At the Euros, we are alongside Denmark, Poland and Slovakia. Slovakia was a great draw from pot 3. The other two were a mixed bag. But let's be honest, if we can't get through this group, we can have no expectation of winning the tournament. All of the other big sides are there. There are a couple of groups of death on paper, but when you consider 16 out of 24 get through, you probably don't have to worry that much. What I did find interesting though, is if you look in Group C here, Belgium, the Netherlands and Italy is probably the worst group you will ever see, because Belgium are the holders of the European Championships, and this just shows what the world rankings does. Italy won the Nations League last summer against us, we saw that disappointment on camera, and the Netherlands won the World Cup 2 years ago. So we have got the current Euros champions, World Cup holders and the Nations League champions all in the same group. For now though, I've got to show you something amusing, because I did mention and allude to the fact that we almost weren't here, and that is because of the Premier League jobs that have popped up. I have been offered interviews by 3 of the current top 8. Unfortunately, no jobs followed. I had the Liverpool one, but Marcelo Gallardo was picked above me. Bournemouth, who are of course one of the superstar teams in this save, they are now one of the best in the world, but they went for Bruce Sarachi. And then we go further down to Arsenal in 8th, who went for Didier Deschamps, which is why the Bournemouth job then came available. But can you spot what I want to have a laugh at? The fact is, you'll remember last summer, there was one job I really wanted, and that job was the Manchester United one. They had a lot of the current England squad, they had a lot of good players, and they rejected us for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who had just got promoted from the Championship with his former club. Now, the most amazing thing about this, which kind of puts FM into a perspective I don't understand, and maybe it does need to get a bit more robust, even though it will get complaints from players, is Manchester United, with 2 games to go, are 14th. They have won and challenged for nothing. For now, we have got to focus on England. I have come back to you just as I have named my 30-man squad, but before we've clicked continue and seen if there's any reaction. So let's go and do that, see what the media think of it, and then I'm going to run you through my side for the Euros and tell you which 7 I'm planning to cut. Right, the headline media news. 3 players that are uncapped are in my provisional 30-man squad. One of them is playing in England, but is a younger player, and he's very strong mentally, but not the best technically. And 2 of them have had great seasons overseas. Now, I'm trying to mix this up a bit, because we've got a lot of good players in England who just aren't playing football. They're squad players at the top sides, and they won't go and play elsewhere. There are a lot of average players further down the Premier League, and there are a lot of good players who are abroad, not quite as good as some of the others, but are playing brilliantly and playing regularly. And that's something where possible I've tried to factor in. There's also a talk that we've recalled Solly Arson, who was injured for the last squad, and Dane Scarlett missing out, not played a minute under me, is the big news from them here. But he's not played regularly this season. Yes, he scored 10 Premier League goals, but he's only started 14 games. He's also very much declining physically, had a couple of injuries too. I'm not sure he's a man I can rely on to either play regularly or score regularly at the top level. We've got 2 friendlies that we've organised before the Euros against good sides from Europe in Sweden and Switzerland. I consider them pretty similar to the 3 we'll be playing in a group, and hopefully we'll be able to get good practice there. But if we go and have a look at the squad, it is time to talk you through our 30-man squad for Euro 2036 and also the near misses that come alongside. So let's get them in order of position. The 3 goalkeepers I don't feel we need much introduction to. Elijah Smith is the only very good goalkeeper in England at the moment. He's ironically not actually playing in England. He's playing for Dortmund, but he's our stalwart number 1. He's the best English keeper by about a million miles, and he will be our goalkeeper for this tournament. If he gets injured, I'll be very worried because our backup 2, they're average Premier League level. We've seen Charlie Setford is decent there. He's now gone over to Saudi Arabia, so we're not getting as much detail on him, but he is playing football every week, which is important. That can't be said for our 3rd goalkeeper, which is Dylan Gabiola. He is a backup goalkeeper for Arsenal. I've tried to give him games when we've played the likes of Andorra and whatever else, but it's not really an ideal situation for this Euro, so he'll probably play one of the 2 warm-up games alongside the other keeper, Smith, and we'll just try and keep everyone fresh going in. But I'm almost at a position now where I think he's the slightly better keeper of the 2 backups, but if we get an injury, I'll probably go for Charlie Setford purely on match sharpness and being in confident form. In defence, we've gone for 5 central defenders in this initial 30-man squad. Jabari Roberts is just returning from an injury, but there's no doubt he's going to be in there. We've discussed this a few times in recent episodes. We've not really got a great deal of depth at centre-half. It's probably the big weakness in the squad. Lewis Parsons is the other starter purely because he's ahead of everyone mentally and physically. But again, the crucial thing with him, he's a regular at Manchester City. He's playing for the champions. He's doing well. It's a natural left footer, which gives us good balance. And he has formed a decent partnership with Roberts. The other ones are Justin Deverley, who is a good Premier League centre-half and nothing more. Played about half the games for United. Very good in the air, very good in a tackle. Just an old-fashioned defender, but maybe not the best playing out from the back. We've also got Matada Talley, who you know is one of the younger players that's been in our squad. Again, playing regularly in the Bundesliga for Leipzig. He's a good player, but he's got the longest injury of the players in the squad. He is due back about 5 or 6 days to full training before the Euro start. But I am conscious of the fact the injury is a wrist one, so it shouldn't affect his training too much, shouldn't affect his recovery. And he is still probably the 4th best centre-half. The situation we've got, though, is that the 5th man, we know very well from the last episode, and if I can find him on this list, is Jordan Ramsey. He is the one who came in and scored 3 goals in 2 games. He got a hat-trick, including a 3rd from the penalty spot in one of our friendlies. He's 6'6", he's amazing in the air. If you look at the rest of his game, he is probably a relegation standard Premier League player. And the fact that he's only played 10 games for Spurs, he's not got the best rating this year. It's another one of those who's not a regular player, but we just do not have centre-halves in abundance. I almost put a 17-year-old in the squad, which we'll look at later. Let's move over to fullback, where we've got the versatility of Tom Stansfield at 29. We know he can play right back or centre-half. He'll be my first choice right back. He's a model pro. He's brilliant at his role. But if we need emergency cover, at least we've got him. And that's why we don't need to worry about an extra defender. The other one out there is the experienced Tino Livramento, who again is very versatile, great defensively and going forward. And at Bayern, he's played enough games this year. And although he's not played bundles of them, he's not been starting every week. He's played enough to keep fit. And crucially, and the most important point, he's got a good average rating when he's playing. He's doing well. And in the Champions League as well, the biggest competition. So Tino Livramento, he's never let us down. He'll be in the squad for this summer. Akera Kelleher is our regular on the left. He's playing for City, not quite as much this year. And he isn't the best defender, but he gives us natural balance. He's very solid. We know what we're going to get from him, having managed him at Palace. And he's still playing for a very good side. I'm almost keen at looking at the personalities as well. He's driven, he works hard, and he gives us that spirit in the dressing room. The problem I've got a left back with the backup is that Anthony Duffy is my other option. Now, he's not very good in the air. He's a brilliant fullback. He's been playing for United all season, but they're 14th in the league. So how do you judge him on that? He has also been playing holding midfield for them predominantly, something that we wouldn't be able to do for him. Mentally, he's a very good player, and of course he's versatile. If you're on the bench and you've got 10 minutes to go, and you can bring him on holding midfield for a number 10, I mean, it's a great option to have. But can we afford to carry him as an extra fullback when he's probably not going to play? And is his jumping reach ultimately going to be a problem? Because we've seen him this FM and probably the last. That's where a lot of goals come from. The other option back there is Rio Williams, who we've kind of had in the squad as a utility man ever since we've been here. He plays enough for Liverpool. He's had a really good season, in fact. And he can play left back, centre mid, left wing, right wing. He's incredibly versatile. He's fairly professional. He's happy to be a member of the squad rather than a regular starter here. And I just feel that he's a player who has to be in, purely because of what he offers around the pitch. And the fact that his all-round game is decent. So a very interesting defence, but let's move on to central midfield, because that's where we start to get a few wild cards in. I think we should probably start with the staple holds, because you knew that a few of these were going to be in the squad. The first one, Jude Bellingham, is brilliant. He's still superb at 32. He's had a brilliant season at PSG, and he's the record cap holder for England. He's going to add to that this summer. Again, brilliant personality for this squad. Alongside him, Alfie Devine. We know he's going to be a star. Just starting to decline slightly, but he's still got his physicality. He's still natural in 2 of our 3 midfield roles. And he's very good mentally. So another one that's worth having in the squad. And another one that's playing regularly this year. Jonah Hodgkinson, I know United finished 14th. And he has been injured for the last 2 months, which is a slight worry coming into this. But I'm a big fan of him. He's another model pro. He's one of those who is just one of my favourites. I do feel he's one of our best technically in midfield as well. Adrian Smith, I have put in there because it's 30-man. But I'm really not sure what to do with him. You saw him pick up his 3rd injury in international break since we've been here in the last episode. And he's one of our best technically, probably the best midfielder technically. Very good mentally, his vision's ridiculous. He's that player you want on a bench if you need to unlock a door in a game. And he's played well for Forest, he's had a good season. I'm not sure where they finished as a team. They finished 19th, they're going down. I'll tell you what, we go to United and they sign him this summer. That might not be a bad one, mightn't it? But a very good season on a personal level. And he's too good not to have in the provisional squad, at least. Let me know if you think I should pick him based on his injury record. I'm trying to pick out the centre midfielders here. Harvey Elliott is the next one. Has the versatility of playing both wings. Has the experience of being in the squad last time England won the Euros. Still playing fairly regularly for Liverpool. And still very good mentally and technically. So another one where, because he plays 3 positions, he should be in the squad. I did also originally put Cole Palmer in there, but unfortunately, he's now injured for the Euros, so at 34, I'd imagine that'll be the end of him, which is a shame because he'd had a wonderful season for Spurs. Let's go back to the squad that we have got though. The other central midfield options, Henry Ocon, another one of those with an injury, but should be back well before the Euro starts. He's actually come on leaps and bounds this year, but he's been playing up front for United, so very different role for us, but someone I might be working with next season. Moving forward, I don't think there's any other established centre midfielders. So let me introduce you to the wild card. Kieran George, we have had media comments all season about. No caps, only one for the under-21s as well. He has played for a Wolfsburg side that have got back into Europe the last few years. And he has been a constant, brilliant presence for them. He's not anything special. And he's not as good as, say, an Adrian Smith. But he plays every game. He's fit. He's a good player. And he's still technically very good. And he's still physically solid enough. We're looking at players that have got good stamina for the Euros as well. We're looking at players who aren't injury prone. He is someone who I feel could offer something. But I'm looking at it from an objective point of view. Can I pick him over Adrian Smith? Probably not on the face of it. It would only be the injury factor. Let's move on to the wide players where we've got another couple of wild cards in. If we start with the ones that are established, we have got Bukayo Saka as the left winger. This will be his last summer in an England shirt. He's declining physically. He had a good but not great season for Arsenal. Far less goal contributions, far less 90 minutes played. But he is still a very good player and he's still our best left winger. So we have to have him in there. You notice the original players compared to regens, so much better mentally overall. You get them blocks of 16s, 17s, 18s. And that's the reason I've got to have him in there. You just don't get that in wingers that are regenerated too often. Ben Hames is in the squad on the right-hand side. Yes, I have picked him over Daniel Williams from Bayern. The reason is the lad at Bayern still hadn't started a game. And this guy has had one hell of a season. In the top 10 for Premier League Player of the Year, 30 starts, 11 goals, 4 assists. He's actually better technically and physically now than ever. He's got that determined personality. I adore the man. I think he's brilliant. Again, can cover in the middle, offers versatility, but just a really good player. And he's developed to his peak. He deserves to be in this squad. The other options out wide are Hafizul Cloudsdale, the regular right winger. You can see what I mean. He's a brilliant player and he's probably better than Saka now by a mile. Physically astonishing, technically astonishing in the key areas, but mentally just not got that same thing that Saka has. He's still resolute, he's still great on that right wing, and he's had a brilliant season at Liverpool, who have been resurgent this year. He's not quite got that same mental ability. He will be our first choice right winger, no doubt, though. I'm really happy to have him in the squad. The other one out there is Simon Soliarsson. He's a versatile player that can play off both sides or up front. Now, it is something worth mentioning because it was pointed out in the comments. How on earth has he had 10 caps for the Pharaohs and still managed to be playing for England? And it's a question I wanted to know the answer to as well. I've been doing a little bit of digging around and having a look at this. He actually played all 10 games remarkably for the Pharaohs in friendlies. I'm not quite sure why, because I looked at it and they'd had competitive games in between. I'm wondering if he refused to commit but played in friendlies and then just wouldn't play in a senior, international or a competitive game. But yeah, it's a really interesting one. He has now played 6 games for us. He's popped up with a few goals. Another one that's had the odd problem with injury. And at Arsenal this year, he's not been playing all the time, but he started half the games and he scored in double figures. So he's doing really well on that front. And what he probably has over a Dane Scarlett, for example, is a little bit more youth, a little bit more of a goal threat, and the fact that he can play in 3 positions rather than just one. So here's the one that will probably make the squad. We've also got Suleiman Usman, who is starting to improve massively. He's out for 3 weeks though, so another one a bit touch and go on the fitness front. I love that he's a great finisher. He's really good mentally and his natural fitness is something that might be crucial. He's playing for Fulham in the Premier League and he's had a good season. Scored 1 in 3 for a relegation struggler and again can play in 3 different positions. So one of those that might just sneak in again. The other side though is where we go for the big wild card. And that man is Andre Andrew. Great name to start with. He's 26 years of age. Now, he has been tearing it up at Feyenoord for about a year and a half, probably since about 6 months into our stint with England. He's not quite as good yet again, as you can see, as some of the other superstars we've got. He's not far off of Ben Hames. He's not far off an Usman, a Soliarsson. He can play off both sides. The only thing that puts me off a little is his primary role as an inverted winger, which we don't really use. But he's got such ability to play on the left as well. He can cover as a wing back. He can occasionally play up front. I just don't think he suits our squad at this moment. Under another manager, he'd probably be a great squad player. But when I look at him compared to a Rio Williams, who's probably the most similar player in the squad, is he more versatile? No. Is he better overall? No. Is there any role where he particularly stands out over him? Not really. And that ultimately is what it comes down to. He's not got quite the same mentality either. So I think he's probably the backup to Rio Williams if Rio Williams were to get injured as the squad player. But a good player nonetheless. The other young wild card who I'm putting in for a bit of experience, I'd imagine will probably come in a squad for someone like Saka after this Euros, is Andy Clark. Now, he is at Liverpool again. Not played hugely regularly this season. But he's a good player. He's not someone who's really like anyone else in the squad that much because he's not technically very good. He's actually pretty poor. His passing range is 12. He can't cross the ball for a winger and he can't really finish. He's got nothing outstanding there. He likes to carry the ball. His technique's good, but his individual attributes are pretty poor. Mentally though, and we've talked about this before with the regen players, he is right up there and we don't often get them. So I feel he's someone we've got to mould into this squad. He's got great stamina. He's got good balance. He's a very good player. But I don't think he's going to make the final 23. I wanted to have a look at him though, and I wanted to play him in a friendly because I think he will be a part of the squad for the next Nations League campaign. If we get through to the strikers, we've got our regular 2 and we've got 1 backup who you've seen once before. Emre Tezgel will be in. Had a decent season for Liverpool, but again, been good as a number 10 for us as well. Gives us an option. He's a quality player. He'll be in. And Chris Lewis has finished the season on fire for Palace. Great news for us. He's scoring goals galore. He's got to 15 in the Premier League in the end, over 20 in all comps, and he scored 8 for us in 5 appearances. There was no way that boy was missing out, and he's one of the youngest in the squad as well. The third one, who may make it or will be there in case of injury, is Ant Farley, who he showed once. Very good physically, good finisher, but not playing regularly enough again. And it boils down to the same thing with so many of these players on the periphery. Yes, he scored 10 league goals. It's a great goal scoring record, and if he went to a mid-table club and scored 15 a season, we'd probably have him in there. But I just can't take the risk with players that aren't used to playing regularly, that aren't that naturally fit, who could easily break down if they have to play 2 or 3 games. So probably the one who will miss out just because the other two are that good. But I hope people like that move on and get themselves a better move in the summer where they play regularly. A quick shout out to some of those who have just missed out. We had one goalkeeper there just in case, but Reece James just over the hill now. Cole Palmer injured, Foden too old, Skip too old, all of that. Declan Rice was another one, but he's like 37 now. Daniel Williams did not start a Bundesliga game for Bayern. He is starting to decline a little physically as a result. Great personality. Again, we need these players to go and play regularly. He's wanted by clubs. If he can go to the Premier League, get half a season of football, then maybe. You never know. Our closest defender to the squad was Thomas Kempschel. Just a solid defender at Leeds, but didn't have a good enough season to force his way in. David Nash is the one I really like, another that may make the squad after this Euros. But how many times do I need to beat the same drum? You get moaned at as England manager for picking players that don't play, but he's only started 3 games as well. There really isn't a big pool to choose from when it comes to players in regular football. The only 2 wildcards I nearly went for were Danny Anderson, a 20-year-old that started the season in the Championship at Reading, has now gone to Liverpool and is a semi-regular member of the squad. Doesn't really fit our tactic, but for the future, he is going to be an England superstar. 2-footed, driven, a wonder kid. He's a star of the future. As is in the under-21s, another man who went to Liverpool, Joseph Murphy. He is a brilliant academy graduate there. Only 6 foot and physically he's got a little way to go yet. But again, very good personality. Don't like that he dives into tackles, but you can see from his attribute, he probably don't get many wrong. So 2 players there that will definitely be involved in the future. There was a left back, Dale Partridge at Leeds, who's really good as well. So there is a bright future for England's defence, but it's going to be just as the attacking players all retire, so might not work out. So that's the squad. That's the players that have just missed out, and you've seen the players who generally I'm probably going to cut. We'll wait and see. It could be decided by injuries too. Let me know what your thoughts are. Which 7 should miss out? And do you agree with the players I've left out the squad? And what do you think of the incredibly slim pickings we've got at the moment? It does seem a little bit harsh. Regardless though, there is no excuse for not making it out of the group. I should mention that in the Nations League at the end of this year, if we're still here, Italy, who beat us in the final last time, Ukraine, who we beat in qualifying, and Wales in an all-British derby. But let me know your thoughts on this group for the Euros. My plan is to play the friendlies, come back and show you 2 of the games. We'll probably do Poland. We'll see how we get on. And if there's any jeopardy, we might have to show all 3. If we can, we might even squeeze all 3 games into the next episode. Let me know how you think we'll get on in the Euros down in the comments. Will the United job pop up again? And how on earth is Ollie still in one at the moment? If you enjoyed this episode, a squad announcement, please do put a thumbs up on it. Subscribe down below for daily FM23 content from 2 long-term stories. A massive thank you to both brand partners today, HelloFresh UK and NordVPN. Links for them down in the description. And of course, everything else, including a Build a Nation story, the Twitch channel and the football podcast up in the eye above. I'll see you back here in a couple of days' time to start Euro 2036.